up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode 162 of D&E TAKEOVER. You might be saying like, oh, I'm by myself today. I'm just doing the episode solo today. Eric had to do something today, so I'm going to keep doing this by myself. We can't stop an episode. We got to keep on moving, ladies and gentlemen. But I hope everyone's having a great day. We're going to get into all this sports talk and just comment down below what you want to hear next. But here's the topics of today's show, and we're going to go into some QB carousel. Basically going to show where quarterback's going to end up in the future. Lamar Jackson. You guys got Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers as the three main ones I'm talking about specifically. Also, we're going to get into, since the All-Star break is over, not over. All-Star break is going to start. The first half season's over. We're going to go into who will claim the first seed in the East and the West in the NBA. Also, we're going to get into the Contenders and the Pretenders in the East and the West. And basically, that's going to be a fun little game that we're going to do over there in NBA. And also, we're going to get into, I know Knives loves this. He said this is his off-season. This is his NFL season. But we're going to get into some of the draft stuff and what teams have to do, what they should do. And also, we're going to get into some round of 16 Champions Leagues that happened on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. But we got big deal, not big deal, go to the week. And then I got to do NBA Podal by myself. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, guys, thank you guys for popping out. We got some comments already. Mario say, what's up, David? What's up, Mario? Hope you're having a great day, man. Let's get into some sports. Let's do this. Eric's here. Eric, what's going on? What's going on? I'm here for like 5 minutes. Appreciate it. But going into our first topic of today's show, guys, it's very interesting. And might as well just say, because Eric's in the chat right now while we still have him. But it's about Mr. Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson and the QB carousel that's going around. You ever go to an amusement park or a theme park or something? They got that nice little carousel, the horses and all that stuff that go round and round. Well, we got some carousel going on with these quarterbacks. We got Derek Carr, we got Aaron Rodgers, and we got Mr. Lamar Jackson all up in the QB carousel right now. So, guys, before I get into what I think is going to happen, drop down below where you think Lamar Jackson's going to go, Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr. But we're going to go into the first person I want to talk about, and it is, in fact, Derek Carr. I'm going to go from least to the best. It's from Derek Carr, and Derek Carr, he's in a tough position, you know what I mean? Actually, not really anymore because they don't have to trade for him anymore. They can just they cut him, so now he's a free agent. Any team that really wants him can go get him. They do have to pay, I think, some type of money, some type of cap hit. I think the Raiders have to pay for that, but overall, his two options for Derek Carr are, in fact, the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints. There has been some other stuff. I've been hearing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but as of right now, those are the two teams that I am kind of putting my mark down on where he's particularly going. Yeah, real quick. We got some comments. Love you too, Eric. Jokic MVP, that's just not false. That's false. That's actually, you know what? You actually have a point. He said, tell me he will resign. The Knicks are winning the chip. I like that one. Mario. I appreciate that one. Said Ravens, Lamar to the Ravens. He's staying. Listen. I made some analysis today, and there's a good possibility that you might like where I'm going with this. But overall, Mario said Derek Carr is going to the Saints. Eric said I couldn't agree with you more. Rodgers to the Jets. All right. So we have a prediction set in from the audience. Derek Carr, he's no scrub of a quarterback. I feel like if you look at these quarterbacks in free agency right now, or not even free agency, just like that are looking to leave, you got Lamar Jackson as an elite quarterback, proven to be top 5 MVP, right? And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who's after this year, he kind of regressed a little bit, but he's still in the very great type of category, top 10 quarterback, I would put him. And then you have Derek Carr, who kind of regressed. He used to be a top 10 quarterback. I know I spoke highly of him winning MVP before the start of the season. That's kind of an L take on me, I will give my boos. Guys, calm down. I know I messed up. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But overall, and then you got Derek Carr, who's top 15, I think we can say, after the last season. But he's still a good quarterback. You can win some games with him. Derek Carr last season threw for 3,522 yards, or this season, whatever you want to call it, whatever year we're in. He had 24 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, But I know those numbers don't really seem eye-popping, but they still are better than what 16, 15 other franchise quarterbacks in the league. I mean, it's better than Davis Mills, better than Zach Wilson. Those numbers are good enough with the right weapons around him to make a playoff team. Obviously, the Raiders did not make a playoff team because obviously they weren't good enough, most particularly on the defensive end. But if we look at Derek Carr's last 4 seasons with the Raiders, which was why I predicted him to win MVP, because of the last 4 years he'd been consistent. And I thought by adding Devontae Adams, his roommate and his friend, his buddy, his pal, I thought he was going to go off and have an MVP season, but it's kind of went the other way around, which I can't really put my mind around. Usually when you get a better wide receiver, you tend to do better. Like we saw that with Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, he became more of an MVP type of player. Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown, he became an MVP type of player. Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, he became an MVP. So usually when you add a better wide receiver core, you tend to get more out of your quarterback. But with Derek Carr, it turned out to be the opposite. But in the last 4 seasons of Derek Carr, he threw for over 4,000 yards. 4,000 yards. That's top 10 in every single in every year. That's top 10 in passing yards. So he's no scrub. We all know this. We all know this. And if anyone who thinks Derek Carr is not good, I'm sorry, but you don't watch the game. He's good. He's a good quarterback. Now the question is, my only 2 options I have for Derek Carr are, in fact, the Jets and the Saints. Like Mario said before, Derek Carr is going to the Saints. Eric agrees with that too. I think the Saints look like the better option for Derek Carr. I know he's had some talks with them and they've been consistent. Like I think he went back for a second time, having dinner with the coaches, whatever they do over there. But he went to go to Carolina actually, but it turned out that something happened that he just didn't go there. So he went to New Orleans twice. But so it looks like that's his most likely destination. I hear Tampa Bay creeping in from the shadows after losing Tom Brady. That could be a possibility. But then again, you got to look at the cap space with this team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know Tom Brady took about $25 million of that, but overall, when you look at them, I don't know if they have enough cap space to really get a Derek Carr. But geez, my tongue is so dry. But if you look at a Saints team, they have some cap space that they can work with. They're not top in the league, but I believe after looking at today, they're middle of the pack, and they can sign a Derek Carr, and they can have a good chance. Obviously, they're going to win the division with no Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Carolina Panthers, we don't know who's going to start for that team, and I'm missing the other team. It goes Carolina Panthers, Tampa, and Atlanta Falcons. I mean, Atlanta could be an option because we hear about Lamar Jackson going to Atlanta. So that winning the NFC South could be a problem if Lamar goes to the Falcons. But in a world where he doesn't and Derek Carr goes to the Saints, right? They're winning the division. It's really that simple. That division is garbage as of right now. If they add Derek Carr with the Saints, the defense is pretty good. And that offense with Chris Olave, Kamara, they can do wonders. So overall, I think that team could win the division. They can be a playoff team, but they're most likely maybe second round exit. They could get out in the first round. They're not really those type of contenders that we like to call them. But I like Derek Carr going to the Saints. I think you guys would agree with that as well. But let's go into these comments before I move on to Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Mario said, Rodgers to the Jets, let's go. I like that a lot. Why not? Thank you, DaBaby. Thank you. Appreciate you. And Eric says, yes, Lamar is going to be franchised and stay with the Ravens. Mario said, I thought that was Eric for a second. I will get to that. I will see. I do understand how that's going to happen. Said, even though he would look great in green, I like it. I like him in green. It brings out his eyes. Eric said Lamar will look awful in green. Yeah, you definitely see it. It's a dark green. It matches his eyes. It's going to look good on him. He said, Amara said, at the end of the day, Carr is a good quarterback, but Rodgers would make the Jets Super Bowl contenders right away. And as a Jets fan, I need a Super Bowl. Same. This has been the Jets organization for the last 12 years. That pretty much sums up how we've been feeling with missing the playoffs. Our best chance was with Mark Sanchez. Who would have thought? Out of all quarterbacks, Mark Sanchez. But yeah, I agree. I agree with Mario on that standpoint with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like I would take Rodgers over Carr because, like I said with the Saints, Carr would make that team um a playoff team, but it's not good enough to make them Super Bowl contenders. And I feel like if you add Carr to the Jets, I feel like it's a similar position because of how valuable the quarterback position is. We look at the Jets last season with Zach Wilson stepping in for a couple games, seeing ghosts, and then coming back out. And we had Mike White taking it over, and then him getting injured and all that bad school stuff. They had a third string Chris Streveler come in. It was a whole mess at the quarterback position. Everything else was awesome, and they still missed the playoffs because of how bad the quarterback position was. Not even how bad, just the lack of consistency at the quarterback position. So I think if you add in Aaron Rodgers, an elite quarterback who's won MVPs before, we know that he can work this. He's won a Super Bowl. I think that would help the team out tremendously. Even though he regressed, he's still an elite quarterback, in my opinion. But real quick, going into the comments, Ophelia Hines, what's going on? Are we having a great day? What's going on? What's going on? Eric, all right, Eric. See you later. Enjoy. But let's keep on moving, ladies and gentlemen. Going into Aaron Rodgers, and Mario touched base on this a little bit about the New York Jets. As a Jets fan, honestly, I would like to see Lamar Jackson come on the green, but as I'm hearing some speculation and some news going around the league, it doesn't really look like that. It used to be, oh, Lamar Jackson is going to the Jets when he first declined his contract extension. Everyone's like, oh, Lamar to the Jets is gonna be so good. Oh, he's gonna win a Super Bowl with this team, the Green Contenders. A young quarterback. Oh, we dropped the jersey. A young quarterback with a lot of potential to grow with this team. And I was all for it, but then all of a sudden the narrative shift to Aaron Rodgers once he requested, well, not really requested a trade, but he was talking with the team about his future, and it kind of implied that there was a trade coming. And we will see in the next couple of weeks. But Aaron Rodgers looks like the most logical point at this point for the New York Jets. And I'll take it. If you can't get the first one, you take the second one. Hell, I'll take the third if you got the option open. But if anyone didn't know how Aaron Rodgers was, I didn't even realize how he had better stats than Derek Carr this season. Because I just looked at every single game. I watched the Green Bay Packers, and I'm like, dang, they can't catch a ball. They have the most drop passes in the NFL. Like he didn't even throw for 300 yards that whole season in one game. So he threw for about 3,695 yards this season. He had 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. If you really have to compare that with Derek Carr, it's pretty consistent. What do you have? Aaron Rodgers has over 100, almost 200 yards more than Derek Carr in the season. He has 2 touchdowns more than Derek Carr and 2 less interceptions than Derek Carr. So if you really have to compare the 2 seasons, they were kind of similar. But we know Aaron Rodgers in the past, most recently, the last, not this season, but the last 2 years before that, he had back-to-back MVPs. So this guy can still ball. And I know he had Devontae Adams, but if we really look at the Jets wide receiver core, we got Garrett Wilson, who broke the Jets rookie record for the most receiving yards in a single season for the New York Jets as a rookie. And also we got Breece Hall coming back after his ACL tear, and that run game is going to be explosive like it was last season. And with Garrett Wilson improving to be hopefully a number 1 wide receiver, and having Elijah Moore on the outside as well, this team is a really good team. And I feel like if you add those weapons with an Aaron Rodgers, we can see more likely, I don't know, MVP Aaron Rodgers, but it's definitely top 10 Aaron Rodgers. And I think, guys, comment down below what you guys think. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has to play like an MVP in order for the Jets to win a Super Bowl. And this is all if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. That's what I'm predicting. All he really has to do is play around top 10. Top 10. He's got to play in the ballpark of, I was going to say Kirk Cousins range, like he did last season. Maybe even a Jared Goff range. I know I'm expecting more from him, but if he plays around that area, I feel like with the overall talent around the team, especially on the defensive end and the offensive end as well, they are good enough to win a championship. They just need a guy to be consistent. That's all it is. Consistent and make those big time throws when it counts. And Aaron Rodgers has the whole package, I think. But what do you guys think below? Does Aaron Rodgers have to play like an MVP in order for the Jets to win? But while we get into that. So basically, to sum it up, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Jets. I like him in a green uniform. He just looks good. His two teams that were the option, though, that I boiled it down to, was in fact the Las Vegas Raiders. That's one team you can't take out of consideration. After Devontae Adams is there, Derek Carr obviously got cut. They have no quarterback. I think they have one active quarterback, and I don't even know the dude's name. But overall, they really are struggling. They need depth in the quarterback position. They need a quarterback. Straight out. They need a quarterback. So why not bring the reunion back to Aaron Rodgers and the Oakland Raiders? Now the one question is, do they have the cap space? Well, getting rid of Derek Carr for the Raiders freed up about $29.3 million in cap space. So, yeah, that helps a lot, especially with a $50 million per year Aaron Rodgers quarterback. I believe the exact number that Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed if he plays in 2023 season is $59.465 million. So even if he plays, he's guaranteed that money. So, sure, the Raiders getting rid of Derek Carr and losing about $30 million in the cap, it helps, but like we said, the Raiders have more problems other than the quarterback position. We saw their defense get demolished, and especially, I don't think it's smart for him to go into a division that the AFC West, like we like to call it, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl champion. We got Russell Wilson. Russell, I'm sorry. No, but Russell Wilson with Sean Payton now, that team could be okay. I still think the Raiders would be better, but and also you got the Chargers. Justin Herbert can potentially develop into top 5 quarterback. He has the talent. He has the characteristics to do it. But I just don't think it's smart for Aaron Rodgers to go to Las Vegas. Plus, there's gambling over there. You might lose all your money and all that stuff. You want to stay away from that, bro. You want to stay away from that, So I think the best option is the New York Jets. It's not an easier division because the AFC East is also hard. Buffalo Bills dominate that with Tua. I don't know how he is, but a healthy Tua, the Dolphins looked insane. So the Jets could finish second. I don't know if they win the division. They could potentially, but I think it's a lot easier to win games in that division than it would be in the AFC West. But Aaron Rodgers to the Jets in the green. I think that's where we like to see him, at least New York fans. But that leads us to the last quarterback. And in the comments, Eric was saying Lamar to the Ravens. Obviously, that's an unbiased opinion. I think we can all agree on that, right? Yeah, no. But Lamar Jackson, Eric said to the Ravens. There's a couple options that he could go to that I've listed. You got the Ravens, right? I think that's one of the most safest picks because even if the Ravens don't give him a contract extension or Lamar Jackson doesn't like the contract, the Ravens can be like, "Hey, we're gonna put a franchise tag on you." And he has to sign the tender, but then at that point, if he doesn't play, he's gonna pull Le'Veon Bell and miss the whole season. We're back in 2016 when Le'Veon Bell declined to sign the franchise tag, and then he came back to the Jets and played Dookie. So I think Lamar Jackson wants to play, so I feel like if he gets franchise tagged, he's going to play. But the only thing with the Ravens is that franchise tag is going to cost him $45 million per year. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money. And the Ravens currently only have $26 million in the cap space. So I'm no mathematician, but 26 minus 45, you're getting a negative number out of that. So I don't know if that's the smartest move for them financially. But then again, Lamar Jackson is going to be guaranteed $250 million because he declined a $200 million deal early on in the season, fully guaranteed by the Ravens. So I don't know. Me personally, I don't think he wants to be there, but just the hypothetical for the Ravens, they're the safest pick because they can always go, "Hey, Lamar Jackson, you don't agree with their contract? Too bad. We put a franchise tag on you." Now, it could happen where he doesn't sign it and then he doesn't play, but I feel like that's a dumb decision for both squads because then you just wasted a roster spot. You could have traded the dude and got some assets out of that on the Ravens organization standpoint. Also for Lamar Jackson, like you just wasted a year of your career because of a contract issue. I don't think that's the smartest issue. But if we really go back to the franchise tag, so if you're confused on what the franchise tag is, Lamar Jackson is currently has a non-exclusive franchise tag tenure. So basically, what that means is that if Lamar Jackson's a free agent, other teams can sign him, right? Say the New York Jets for fun. New York Jets sign Lamar Jackson to ballpark $250 million a year for 4 years, 5 years, about $50 million a year. Now the Baltimore Ravens have 5 days to match the offer. If they don't, they let Lamar Jackson go, then the New York Jets have to give 2 first-round picks as compensation to the Ravens. So that's where it gets kind of confusing. So if Lamar Jackson plans on leaving and the Ravens don't, and the Jets offer them a contract or another team offers them a contract and the Ravens don't match it, that team, whoever signed Lamar Jackson, has to get rid of 2 first-round picks, valuable picks, and then give them to the Ravens in exchange for Lamar Jackson for compensation. But yeah, I think the deadline for the Ravens to sign Lamar Jackson to a franchise tag is March 7th. So they obviously have, what's the date? The 16th. They have 3 weeks per se. So they got some time, but I think the Ravens are the safest pick for Lamar Jackson because of how easy it is to put a franchise tag on someone and they don't have to come to a deal so quickly. If we look at the Jets situation, right? We mentioned them a little bit before. The Jets, 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 my Jets, New York Jets, whatever you want to call them. Like I said before, during January, it looked like, oh, Lamar Jackson to the Jets looked like the most logical reason. But then once we got into more recent times, everyone's like, the team that's popping out right now is the Falcons. But the Jets would be a good spot for the Lamar Jackson. Obviously, they currently are in, I think they have $2 million or negative $2 million in cap space right now. But if they do offload some veterans that take a lot of the cap space, I know one of them is CJ Mosley, who takes about, I think $20 million of the cap space. The Jets could find a way to offload certain people and then make the cap space work. So I'm not worried about it in that asset. I think the Jets will get it done, especially with Joe Douglas being one of the top GMs in the league. I think he will find a way. But overall, the Jets seem like a good option because of the fact that Lamar Jackson is only 26 years old. You got Garrett Wilson, who was a rookie, Sauce Gardner, who was a rookie. You got Quentin Williams, who is, I think, 24 to be exact. You got a bunch of young studs, both on the defensive end and the offensive end, that will grow with your quarterback. So you're not just looking at a window like, per se, if you had Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. You're looking at a championship window of 2 or 3 years because that's how long Aaron Rodgers' contract is. If you go with Lamar Jackson, you're looking at a window of 5+ years, depending on if he wants to resign or not. So I feel like for Lamar Jackson, in terms of winning, that's the most logical area because the team is most complete around him. Now we go into the last team, the Falcons. Geez, the Atlanta Falcons. Who would have thought that name would have been in the mix? But after really looking at them, they look like the most logical one. Like I said, I said the Ravens are the safest pick. The Jets are probably the long shot now. And I think the most logical pick that could most likely happen is the Falcons. They have the second most cap space going into the offseason with $56.8 million in the cap. So they can sign Lamar Jackson to $50 million plus like an Aaron Rodgers contract and still have $8-9 million left in the cap space. So they're not worried about the cap. Now we look at the overall construction of the team. Defense is pretty good. Not elite. They would need some cap space. They need to work out the draft to get better players and grow with them on the defensive end. But it's not terrible where they're going to lose games because of defense. Now, if we look at it on the offensive end, you got Drake London, who got drafted last year, a solid rookie. You got Kyle Pitts, who kind of stopped this season. It kind of went this season, didn't really show any production, but he's still a good tight end, and we've seen what he did last season, not this season, but last season before in his rookie year. We know what he's capable of. They got a running game as well, and the offensive line is not that terrible. So overall, I think Lamar Jackson with that team would be a good fit. And then we look at it. Derek Carr went to the Saints. It's like, who's winning the division? Obviously the Falcons now. So Derek Carr would kind of get screwed out of a guaranteed division a playoff spot because of winning the division. But if we really have to go back on it, Carr, I think, is signing with the Saints. Rodgers to the Jets, and then Lamar Jackson to the Falcons. I know. But the Ravens, they are a safe pick as well because of the franchise tag. But guys, comment down below if you agree. If I messed up on one team that you guys don't think is going to happen, comment down below which team you think that is. Without further ado, I'm going to get into these comments real quick. And we got one from Peyton. Shout out to Peyton. Thanks for popping out, bro. Appreciate you as always. He said, who would you rather have on your team, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes? Farts. Oh, God. Jeez, we're talking about prime Brady, obviously, right? We're not talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers Tom Brady, right? Or last year Tom Brady. But if I take that in consideration, who would I rather have, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes? Just the way that the league is evolving now. Oh, you meant prime. Okay, prime Brady. Jeez, bro. You're talking about one of the guys, the IQ of Tom Brady is just ridiculous. But the way that the league is set up now, I need a quarterback to be mobile and run out of the pocket. You see these defensive linemen that are running 4.7, 4.6 in the 40-yard dash. Like, we never heard of that before. He's running faster than me, and the 300-pound dude is running faster than me in a 40-yard dash. So that's scary how quick these guys are. So you need a quarterback that is mobile and can get out of the pocket. Without further ado, I know Tom Brady is a pocket passer. He doesn't really run. We've seen him run a little bit, but his wheels get a flat tire sometimes when he runs too much. I think if you got to go with athleticism, because I think they're both great quarterbacks. Tom Brady, I think, has the edge because of obviously his prime and whatever he is his career-wise. He has the edge. But I will go with Patrick Mahomes just because of the athletic ability. Patrick Mahomes isn't a runner, but like we said, he had 44 yards rushing in the Kansas City Chiefs game. And most importantly, a 26-yard run to help set up that game-winning field goal. So he can get out of the pocket and move around when it matters most. And he can create plays with his legs. So I would go Patrick Mahomes just because of the game and how it's evolving. But that's a great question, man. I appreciate that. I love those who would you take? Because it really makes you think and it makes it kind of fun. But guys, comment down below. Peyton asked a good question. Peyton, who would you take? Prime Brady or Patrick Mahomes? I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. Guys, comment down below who would you take to start your franchise, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. But Peyton also said, I think the Chiefs should sign Jason Kelce. I mean, that would be nice little family reunion. So now if they ever meet in the Super Bowl, there would be no happy brother and one sad brother. They'd just be happy together if they win it. It would help their offensive line a lot. There's no other words to say that. It'd be a good signing either way. Who do you think will pick up Colin Sanders if the Chiefs doesn't re-sign him? I think the Chiefs will re-sign him, but if we really look at if we gotta really look at a defensive lineman that a team needs, I think he would go to could go to the New Orleans. I think that's a possibility. Play with Cam Thomas, Josh. That's the Brooklyn Nets. Cam Jordan. He could go to LA Chargers. I don't know. I'm just putting some possibilities out. A lot of teams can use some depth in the defensive tackle position. And he's a solid guy. Yeah, I saw him get a sack in the Super Bowl. So shout out to Colin Sanders, bro. Pretty good and pretty impressive. But Peyton also said he's taking Patrick Mahomes. I would agree too. And if you didn't hear last episode, apparently I said something. Apparently, like I don't recall what I say, but I said something about how Patrick Mahomes will surpass Brady in terms of amount of Super Bowl wins. Eric was a little shocked that I said that, but when you really look at it, the dude's 26 years old and he already has 2 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady, when he had his first two Super Bowl rings, he was in his 11th season. So definitely a possibility. It can happen if the whole duo stays consistent. Now, if anyone breaks off the Kansas City Chiefs, anything can happen. But if everything stays the same, we can see another 2 more rings in another 6 years. I think it's not crazy to say. But going at it now, moving past the quarterback carousel, like we said, Carr to the Saints, Rodgers to the Jets, and I got Lamar Jackson to the Falcons. But moving into a little bit of NBA, enough of the NFL for right now. We're gonna get back to it after this next 2 segments. But going into the NBA All-Star break, it just happened. I think today is the last game. Oh, Peyton has a comment. Peyton was in his first season as a starter in 2001. Yeah, he's an old dude. Bro, that's before I was born. Jeez. But the All-Star break standings. Where are we looking at right now with these teams? And one question I want to ask everyone, and also I want to answer for everyone right now. So don't be afraid to comment your team down below. Who will claim the first seed in the East, and then who will claim the first seed in the West? It's one of those questions that you have to predict. But like I said, there's only about 20 something games left in the NBA season before the playoffs happen. So it's coming close. It seems like it's a far time away, but it's closer than what we think. I think the playoffs start in April, to be exact. So without further ado, if we got to go into who's number one in the East right now, it's the Boston Celtics with the best record in the NBA at 42 wins and 17 losses. Behind them at 2, we got the Milwaukee Bucks with 40 wins, 17 losses. Philadelphia 76ers with 38 wins and 19 losses. Cleveland Cavaliers at 4 with 38 wins, 23 losses. Brooklyn at 5, and New York Knicks at 6. Heat at 7, Atlanta Hawks at 8, Toronto Raptors at 9, and the Washington Wizards at 10. Now, in the Western Conference, actually, you know what? I'm going to do that later. Eastern Conference. We got Boston with the best record in the NBA. Milwaukee is, in fact, a game behind Boston. So it goes to show that Philadelphia 76ers are 3 games behind Boston for the first seed. Cleveland Cavaliers are 5 games behind Boston. So it's all relevantly close between the top 4 per se. Brooklyn Nets, they're 7.5, and the New York Knicks are 9.5. So I won't really consider them because those are farther away in terms of games separated. Cleveland Cavaliers, Philadelphia 76ers, Milwaukee Bucks are the ones that are in range to claim the number 1 spot from the Boston Celtics. Boston looks good, man. Boston looks like a great team. I mean, if you really got to look at it, they are, in fact, I believe top 10 in offensive opposition points per game. And not to mention their offense is really good with Jason Tatum playing like an MVP this season. So, geez, this is really tough. I'm going to go with who will finish with the first seed by the end of the season going into the playoffs. They've been playing good with Jaylen Brown being injured too. So I'm going to go with Boston. I'm going to stay consistent with Boston claiming the first spot. I wouldn't be shocked if, in fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Milwaukee Bucks come and take that number 1 spot. I don't think the 76ers are going to do that. I'm not saying that they're going to falter, but I think when you look at Milwaukee and Boston, I think they're a little bit more complete and a little bit more contenders to say than the 76ers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, hot take, I'm expecting them to collapse. I'm obviously not in the regular season, but more in the playoffs. I'm looking at them as like a second-round exit at most, potentially even a first-round exit. So they can be one of those ones on upset alert. So watch out for that. But anyway, I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics claiming the first spot. I think it's the safest position for them. They look like a complete team. They've been doing good with Jaylen Brown injured. Everyone's been stepping up. Malcolm Brogdon's been looking like a key addition to that team, especially on the offensive end coming off the bench for the team. So overall, Robert Williams is back. They look healthy. Hopefully they get healthy because I know Jaylen Brown, I said, is injured. Hopefully they get healthy and they stroll into the playoffs with the first seed. Milwaukee could catch them though. But I'm staying with Boston. I think it's very possible. Milwaukee. Oh my gosh, I just looked at their stats. They're on an 11-game winning streak. Milwaukee. They actually could take number 1. I wouldn't be shocked right now. Oh, I can't change it. I'm gonna go Boston. I think it's gonna be close, but Boston should take it. But it doesn't matter because 1 or 2 seed, you go into the playoffs. Playoffs are a different beast. As long as you get home field advantage, that's the most important thing. Now, we go into the Western Conference. First team in the NBA is, in fact, the Denver Nuggets with a record of 41-18. Second, we got Memphis Grizzlies with 38-22. Third place, we got the Sacramento Kings. Quick round of applause to the Sacramento Kings. Who would have thought that this team would be the 3rd seed in the West? Not even that. Have a above 500 record. We're talking about a team in the last 10 plus years this franchise has been in turmoil, per se. We were talking at one point getting De'Aaron Fox out of that team because he's going to be potentially another Dame. And now we're looking at a team. I think he still could be another Dame because I don't think the Kings are going to win. But obviously, you have to at least have a chance of making the playoffs in order to win a championship. And they weren't even doing that years and years ago. But They sit at third, so congratulations to the Sacramento Kings. Thank you to baby. But going into the fourth place, the Phoenix Suns with a record of 32-27. Now, they don't have Kevin Durant back. He's expected to be back, I believe, in 1 or 2 weeks. I think after the All-Star break and a week after that. So I think it's, in fact, 2 weeks. So he still has some time. But at this point, they're just getting ready for the playoffs. I don't care what positioning the Suns are in. Fourth, I don't care if they're seventh. I don't care if they're sixth. I don't care if they're fifth. I don't even care if they're 10th. This team is good enough to win it all. Really, win it all. KD edition, their eyes are set on the silverware, not Adam Silver, the other silver. But going into the fifth spot, we have the LA Clippers with a record of 32-28. They're one of those teams that, like we said, load management. They do that a lot. Kawhi Leonard plays 1 game out of every 5. Paul George plays 1 game out of every 3. They alternate. I'm not a big fan of it. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of it, but that's just how they do it. And then they wait into the playoffs to go off. They're one of those teams that can potentially make noise in the playoffs. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the team I hate. Now, there's a lot of flexibility between the Phoenix Suns, the Clippers, Milwaukee, Timberwolves, Dallas, New Orleans, Golden State, and OKC. They're all separated by a game and a half, 2 games. So anything can happen. You can be Timberwolves and lose 2 games and drop automatically to the 11th or 10th seed from 6. So anything's possible. But as of right now, Minnesota Timberwolves are, in fact, the 6th seed with a record of 31-29. 7th seed, you got the Dallas Mavericks. 8th seed, you got the New Orleans Pelicans, who've been in terrible form recently. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, which is not good. And then you have the Golden State at 9, and then you have the OKC Thunder at 10. And then you got the Lakers at 13th. Jeez, and we got a comment from Bear just about the Lakers, bro. We just brought him up. But shout out to Bear. Thanks for popping out, bro. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day. But Bear said, how do you feel about the Lakers with the addition of D'Lo? It helps. It really helps. I think adding, what was their main problem in Los Angeles? Obviously, age is a factor. They're a bunch of old men over there. No offense to LeBron James and everyone over there. I respect you a lot. But they were old. They were old. Let's admit it. They added a lot of younger pieces with Roy Hachimura, with Malik Beasley, and in fact, D'Lo. That's not even the main problem. The main problem was their shooting. They were one of the worst three-pointing attempt teams, percentage teams, whatever you want to call it. They're one of the worst at taking 3-pointers and, most importantly, making 3-pointers. That was with the Russell Wilson, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James trio. Now, since they added Anthony Davis, they added Roy Hachimura. They didn't add Anthony Davis. They added D'Angelo Russell. They added Roy Hachimura. They added Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mo Bamba. They have shooters. D'Lo is a good shooter. Malik Beasley is a good shooter. So they actually have guys that can shoot the basketball, which helps them out a lot. So I think by adding D'Lo, like Bear said, I think it's a positive effect on them. Now, the only question is it going to win them a championship? Because that's the number one question that everyone would ask. I think adding players to benefit your team, like D'Lo did, Malik Beasley, and those trades have done with the Lakers, makes them a play-in team. Could potentially make them a 6 seed. See how the season goes off. They're only off by 3.5 games. Literally 3.5 games from the 6 seed, so they could potentially make a 6 spot. I'm going to say play-in just to be safe. I think it helps them out a lot. Like I said before, I just don't think it's enough to win a championship. Guys, comment down below if you agree with that. W's or L's. I just don't think the Lakers are going to win. You're talking about a Nuggets team that has playing with an MVP type caliber Jokic this season. Jamal Murray's been going off. They got Michael Porter Jr., who's been doing pretty good. Like, they have a complete team. One of the best record in the West. You got the Memphis Grizzlies, who, although a lot of people are hating on them because of their attitudes, I think they're still a great team. They're a young team. John Morant can go off any moment. Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the leaders in Defensive Player of the Year. If we really look at the Sacramento Kings, they're one of those teams that, I don't know, I'm not really picturing them going far, but they can win a couple playoff. They can win a playoff game. They go in 2 playoff games depending on who they verse. And then you got the Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks, LA Clippers. the Lakers are not better than those teams. Lakers are not better than Dallas Mavericks. The Lakers are not better than the Phoenix Suns, and the Lakers are not better than Memphis Grizzlies, and they're not better than the Denver Nuggets. Or did I say LA Clippers? They're not even better than the LA Clippers. I think I can say that. So what does that put them? 6th best in the West? Like I said, I don't think it's good enough to make it out of the West, let alone win a title. So I think it's good for them, but it's not good enough to win a championship. But then again, LeBron in the playoffs, different beast. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I answer your question, Bear. But going into who is the best team in the West, guys, comment down below who's the best team in the West right now. Not even that. Who's gonna make it the first seed by the end of the season? I'm gonna go with, Denver's got a 5-game lead over Memphis, and I know I said the Phoenix Suns are gonna get the first seed back in like when they traded for Kevin Durant, but they're 9 games behind. I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets. I think it's the more safer option. I think there's only 24 games left in the season, so when you really look at that aspect, I don't think the Phoenix Suns are gonna make it to the Nuggets, because unless the Nuggets go on a 20 plus game losing streak, which I doubt. I think the Nuggets are going to finish with the first seed. Memphis could fall. I think Memphis is going to fall. I think the Kings are going to fall. I think Denver 1, Phoenix 2. It could go Memphis 3, Mavericks 4, Clippers 5, and then Kings 6. I think the whole West is going to be flipped around by the end of the season. Unlike the East. I think the East is going to stay consistent with their core guys, the core 6 guys. I think if you look at the West, I think it's going to toss and turn who's going to go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I think those numbers are going to change throughout the season. But Bear says the Nuggets. I agree with that, obviously. But one little thing I want to do with you guys, and just comment down below your teams. But it's so important for these teams to like contend for a championship, whether they're contenders or pretenders. That's a segment of today's show. Contenders, or are you a pretender? Real simple. So if we really look at the East, are these teams contenders? Are they pretenders? My pretenders list, guys, comment down below if you agree with this. The pretenders list. The Wizards, they're pretenders, obviously. Toronto Raptors, they're pretenders. Atlanta Hawks are pretenders. Miami Heat are pretenders. I just don't see it. Now, if we look at the top 6 in the East, the New York Knicks, not enough star power. They're pretenders. Sorry, New York Knicks. I love the New York Knicks, but Brooklyn Nets, my Brooklyn Nets. They have no superstars. They've been playing good as a team. But down the stretch where you need them most, you need your superstars to really pick you up and guide you to a championship. And they don't have one right now. So I'm going to go, they're pretenders too. Cleveland Cavs. They're pretenders. Like I said before, I think they're going to falter. They're going to be one of those upset picks, whether in the first round or second round. They lost Kevin Love, a veteran. So when you really look at this team, they really don't have no guys. They have a lot of young dudes. I know Donovan Mitchell's been there. I know he's been in the playoffs before, but he's never really made it past into even though the Western Conference Finals when he was there with the Utah Jazz. So he doesn't have any experience in terms of contending. So the Cleveland Cavs are pretenders. 76ers. Jeez. I think this team is good enough to be a contender. So I'm going to go with contenders. I think when you overall look at it, James Harden's playing really good this season. Joel Embiid's playing like an MVP again. He does this consistently. And then you got Tyrese Maxey coming off the bench, helps him out a lot. I think overall, when you look at this team, they are very good. They're in a very good spot. But when you really look at these next 2 teams, these guys are better contenders. Does that make sense? They're at a higher list. You got contenders right here, the whole list. You got the 76ers right here. And the next one, honestly, the Milwaukee Bucks are contenders and the Boston Celtics are contenders. If I had to say something, I think the Boston Celtics are actually less contenders than the Milwaukee Bucks. So if I really had to put it into perspective in my contenders list, because I only got 3 teams from the East, the lowest rank of contenders, I would go with the 76ers. The middle rank contenders, I will go with the Boston Celtics. And the top tier contender out of the East, I think, is the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it's possible. I think Giannis, he's playing insane. The only difference is when he plays, and he's been playing now. So we'll see what happens with this team. I think is very possible with them. They're a complete team as always. But if you really look at the Western Conference, right? The Western side, you got, OKC pretenders. Don't get out of my face with that. They're pretenders. Golden State Warriors. This is a tricky one because they're sitting 9th right now, but they're without Stephen Curry, and we all know Stephen Curry can lead a team by himself. We've seen in the past he can do it. So I think with Stephen Curry, they are contenders because the team is similar in a sense, and they added some pieces. So I'm gonna go contenders for the Golden State Warriors. The 8th spot with the New Orleans Pelicans. They're pretenders. I'm sorry. Zion Williamson can't be healthy. He's out with a hamstring injury again. No superstar can really stay healthy with that team. The only person who's been consistently playing for them is Jose Alvarado and CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram's been injured, and so has Zion. I know Brandon Ingram just came back, but Zion Williamson, we don't know where that guy's been. He's like a Where's Waldo NBA edition. 7th spot, you got the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks, I love Dallas. I love Luka. But they added Kyrie. They could potentially be contenders. I think if we were looking at the bottom tier, I think they're the bottom tier of contention. I don't know. I think they're good enough because those two guys alone, Kyrie and Luka, they are special. And I know that Luka Doncic has shown, especially last year in the playoffs against the Phoenix Suns, that he can carry a team by himself. It's just getting a little bit used to Kyrie Irving's type of play and Luka actually playing with a superstar because he's never done that in his whole career. He's kind of had to carry everyone by himself. So I do think they're contenders, but they're in the lowest tier of contenders. That makes sense. Minnesota Timberwolves, get out of my face. They're pretenders. Don't even mess with me. Rudy Gobert, 3 first overall picks. Stop. The LA Clippers. Eric said that they're a team not to be messed with, but if I really remember their playoff history, they lost to Dallas last season with just Luka and Jalen Brunson, if you want to put them in there. I think they're pretenders too. I think that the Los Angeles Clippers are pretenders. I don't think they're going to make it far. They're going to get out probably the first round. If not, they lose second round. I don't see them going farther than that. And then you got the Phoenix Suns in the 4th spot. Phoenix Suns are contenders. Like I said, I have them winning out the West and going to the NBA Finals. Sacramento Kings, they're pretenders. I just don't think they have enough veteran leadership or playoff experience in that sense or even just star power to make it past the other teams I just listed as contention. Memphis Grizzlies, I think they're pretenders too. They're one of those teams that could potentially get out in the second round. They're not really that special sauce like we've seen them last season. They're still a phenomenal team, and I will give them their props. They have John Morant. Whenever you have John on your team, superstar, you can carry them. We've seen it in the past. Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year. Phenomenal players. But when you really look at the other teams, like I said, the Nuggets, the Suns, even the Mavs, those are contenders. Even Golden State Warriors, those are contenders. And I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies are at that point yet. I think they're one piece away. They're looking for John Morant's number 2. And no, not the bathroom. He's looking for his number 2 guy. Like Steph Curry with Klay Thompson back in the day. Like LeBron James with Kyrie Irving back with the Cavs. Now, I'm not comparing the two before you guys go like, oh, he's comparing LeBron James to John Morant. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that those guys benefited and won championships because they had help in the scoring aspect, but just overall superstar help. John Morant just is by himself as of right now. He has Jaren Jackson Jr., but he's more defensive. So I think they are a second piece away, the Memphis Grizzlies, from being a contender or at least winning, potentially making it to the finals. And now we look at the Denver Nuggets. They're one of these teams that I think they are contenders, but I think they're right by the Mavs in terms of the rank. So it goes Mavs, the lowest rank of contenders. It goes Nuggets slightly above them, and then it goes Golden State, and then the Phoenix Suns. I think that's how it goes. Honestly, I honestly think that's how it works. Yeah, that's that's my contenders and pretenders, guys. I think when you really look at the East as a recap, I got Boston, Milwaukee, and the 76ers being the contenders out of the East. And in the West, I have the Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks, Golden State Warriors, and the Phoenix Suns being the contenders out of the West. So 4 from the West, 3 from the East. If any of those teams make the NBA Finals, it would definitely be entertaining to watch. But I saw someone say, real quick, Ophelia said, Zion, where's Waldo edition? I really saw someone say this today online. I think it was Pardon the Interruption. Real quick. Right. Quick little water break. But I think it was on Pardon the Interruption where they said, when is Denver Nuggets going to win a chip? And when you really look at it, Jokic has 2 MVPs, and I think he's a great player, one of the most efficient player in the NBA. Can't take that away from him. But when you really look at it, when are they going to win a ring? Because, like I said, they're first in the NBA. I think when you really look at it, they're their best chances right now. Last year, they didn't have Jamal Murray. He was out with an ACL injury, I believe. And also Michael Porter Jr., another person who's been injured as well. Don't even get me started on that guy. But now they're looking like a real threat. They're looking at as a complete team. Jamal Murray is looking like himself back in the bubble days, if everyone remembers that. And Jokic is still dropping dimes and catching rebounds and scoring points. So he's doing his thing as an MVP. So, and MPJ's scoring some points for them as well, averaging, I think, 22. I believe on the season. Let me get the exact number for you guys. I want to know. Oh, where is it? Where's his name? Oh, and also, not to mention, Aaron Gordon's been balling for that team. He's one of the reasons why they're doing so well, in my opinion. Michael Porter Jr. He's averaging 17, 5, and 1. I said 22. Geez. He's not even averaging that many points. I think if you really look at it, the guy who's been the third piece for this team is, in fact, Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's averaging 17, 7, and 3. Better numbers than MPJ. So they have a complete team. Like I said, they have a ball handler who's a center, and they have a point guard. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, going back to the Nuggets thing, they are a complete team, but it goes to the fact the Jokic situation in the Nuggets, the best time to win is this season. We know it. They're in the best position, the best team that we've seen from them in a while. They finally got the game back together, and they added some pieces like Thomas Bryant. They added Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson, Jeff Green. So they got some guys that can add some depth to their team when it matters most. I just don't think, maybe because of the narrative in the past with this Nuggets team and how they lose first, second round, but I just don't think that they're going to go past second round, potentially even first. We did this bracket last episode, I believe, with Eric, and then the episode before that with me. And we both had the Nuggets getting eliminated in the first round, I believe. So, excuse me. So if we really look at it, they're a wild card for me, just because I don't know how well that they can produce in the playoffs. Last year they versed Golden State. It was Jokic by himself. Obviously, they only got one game, but it goes down to, can they have an extra gear in them to make it when it counts the most? And maybe I got to watch a couple playoff games with them all together to see if that actually happens. But as of right now, I'm not really too sold, and I don't know if this is going to be the year for Denver Nuggets fans or the Denver Nuggets organization to win a chip. But then again, I've been wrong before. If you haven't, check the Instagram. You're going to see how many times I've been wrong. But overall, it could happen. It could happen. Prove me wrong, Nuggets. We'll see what happens. But moving on into the NFL real quick, I want to talk about a little bit of the draft. For anyone who doesn't know, the NFL draft, I believe, happens in the last week of April. I could be mistaken on that. I don't know the exact date, but I know it is in the month of April. But real quick, I have one question about this, and it's about which team should trade up, and obviously, should the Bears trade the first pick? So what I was really implying from that is the second question: should the Bears trade their first pick? Because it's all going to depend on whether the Bears want to trade their first pick, and whether, like, because you think about it, teams trading up is only going to depend if the Chicago Bears want to give up the first pick. It's that simple. We're looking at a team that has the first overall pick. We have 2 quarterbacks available, who I speak of very highly: C.J. Stroud of Ohio State and Alabama's quarterback Bryce Young. Very great players, phenomenal players, right? Quarterback is such a valuable position in the NFL nowadays that you have to get him young and keep him on a rookie deal and grow with that team. And like you have to go out of the gates in the first 4 years and making a championship run. Because if you don't, then you got to pay your dude $50 million a year. And you're in that gray area where it's like, okay, we spent $50 million. We spent like 25% of the salary cap on one dude, and we don't have enough money to pay for other skilled positions. But going into, should the Bears trade the first pick? Mr. Justin Fields is a quarterback for the Chicago Bears, if you didn't know. So the overall question is, if they draft a quarterback first overall pick, it really means that they don't think Justin Fields is their guy. They don't think he's the future. Like I said, this is only he just completed his second year in the NFL. He's still a baby. He's on his rookie deal for at least 2-3 more years. He's got time. But the thing is, the Chicago Bears have the assets to make this team a playoff team. And as of right now, no way in hell are they close. I actually feel more bad for I feel more bad for Justin Fields in the position of being in Chicago than I do for even the Chicago Bears organization, because they put themselves in that situation. Justin Fields he showed up to, like, showing up to a house, right? And it's just a box. Like, this is my house? It's like, geez, man. At least make the expectations a little high. You know what I mean? But Peyton said, what happens when a team pays above the salary cap? I believe they pay. They pay some type of it's a cap hit. So they pay some type of I forgot what it's called. It's called hard cap. I know in the NBA they call it hard cap. But they pay some type of, if they're over, they have to pay that certain amount. If not, a fine as well. So they get penalized as the owners. Obviously, if your owner's a billionaire, he's gonna do whatever he can to get these players and whatever cost. So he's not really worried about the money. If you look at the baseball aspect, the New York Mets, it's a prime example. Steve Cohen, billionaire. He just goes over the cap every single year. Especially this year, he signs all these players and he pays a fine. He pays a penalty from the MLB association, and he just pays it. He pays the rest of his salary cap because he has the money. Some owners don't care, but I believe they pay a fee or like a salary cap hit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how it works in the NFL. But going back into the draft, hopefully I answer your question, Peyton. Hopefully. But going back into the NFL, me personally, guys, comment down below if you think why do I keep on saying Jalen? Justin Fields, guys, comment down below if you think Justin Fields is the right quarterback for Chicago. He's got a bad rap. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't really seen his full potential yet. I really haven't. I loved him coming out of college. At Ohio State, I'm like, this dude's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. And I still think he has the potential to do it. Last year, in his first season, he was basically, in 2021, he had a completion percentage of 58.9%, 1,870 yards passing. He had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions with 420 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns. So overall, he had 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I don't know if you guys, like I said, I don't know. I don't know if you guys, I'm not no mathematician, but 10 is greater than 1, right? So right now he's at a -1 in terms of touchdowns to turnover ratio. Payne said, I don't know what are his stats in college. I'll pull them up right now. That's the ones I got from the NFL. I'll pull up his stats right now. Thank you. Please stand by. Justin Fields stats college. I remember watching his games because, in fact, Jeremy Ruckert, shout out to Jeremy Ruckert, he was on Ohio State, so I'd watch some of the games, and dude was really good. Dude was really good. But I have his college stats for you right now. Okay, so in his 2 years at Ohio State, he played 14 games in his sophomore year, his first year at Ohio State. And he had 3,000 yards, 3,273 yards, 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So he was doing a lot. And then in his junior year, he's only played 8 games because I believe he missed some with injury. And he had 2,100 yards, and he had 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So it wasn't as good as his sophomore year, but you see the potential there. You see the potential there. And that's not even including his rushing stats. If you really look at his rushing stats, he had 484 rushing yards in his first season at Ohio State and 383 rushing yards at his second season at Ohio State. So overall, he was a really good quarterback. I loved watching him out of college, and it's just a shame that he's in an organization like the Chicago Bears where they don't really have nothing going for him, and he's kind of escaping the pocket by himself. But if we really look at him now, right, is he a future Hall of Famer? No, no, no. Not if he stays in Chicago. He's not. Unless Chicago makes some drastic change where the franchise gets turned upside down and they build around Justin Fields and they add an offensive line for him. Finally, they add receivers that can catch a football for him. They need to add a bunch of pieces. As of right now, I don't see that happening because we've seen the Chicago Bears not really help their quarterbacks in the past. So it could happen. They have a new GM, new head coach. Anything's possible. But as of right now, I'm going to say no, but he has potential to be a really good quarterback. If he stays in Chicago, I'm going to say no on the future Hall of Famer thing. If he goes to another team, potentially. He could win a Super Bowl with another team. But Chicago has to make some drastic changes. So Chicago won the Super Bowl in the 1985 season. Well, there you go, guys. If you didn't know, now you know. 1985. Is that the last time they won the Super Bowl? Peyton, can you check that? I'm guessing that's the last one. But if it is, geez, you're talking about a franchise that holds volume in its name from legacy and history. And then if that's the only last time that they won a Super Bowl, the only time they won a Super Bowl. So yeah, it is the last time and the only time. So you're talking about a franchise that holds so much value. The fans are so committed to that franchise and throughout history. And they only have one Super Bowl ring to really consider it. You still won, but overall, if you really look at the last 10 years, it doesn't really add up to the history that they've had in the past with Mike Ditka and all those rough dudes that they had back in the day. But going back to Justin Fields' stats, in 2022, which is the most recent season last year, actually this season, whatever you want to call it, this season, last season, whatever. He had 60.4 completion percentage. He had 2,242 yards, and he had 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and he rushed for 1,000 yards, 1,143 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So you're talking about a guy, why do I keep on saying Jalen Hurts? Justin Fields. There you go. Justin Fields learned real quick. Oh, and a quick little fun fact. Justin Fields got sacked the most, tied for the most with Russell Wilson for the most sacks in the NFL last season with 55. So, which goes to prove the offensive line issue. I don't care. This goes back to my theory. I don't care what quarterback you have on your team. I don't care if it's Tom Brady in his prime. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. If you don't have an offensive line to support, at least hold the dude for 2 seconds, your quarterback, your team will never be good. It's that simple. You can have an elite talent, right? You can have an elite talent like a Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the offensive line like he did this season, I'm still saying he's a good quarterback, but he's not number one. It's really that simple because he doesn't have time to throw the ball. And there's only so much you can do with your legs. And we saw that with the Super Bowl with back in the day. It was the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. That was one of the issues. Mahomes was getting rushed so many times. He had to run for his life. I remember seeing that. He was running all over. I don't know if you guys remember, but he did that jump in the air mid-level and he threw it while his body was parallel with the ground. That's the Super Bowl I'm talking about, where he was getting rushed all the time. Peyton said Jacoby. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He said Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. That's why. That's why I keep on talking about him. Obviously, he's a good quarterback. I got to give him respect. He's a really good quarterback. Top 5 in the NFL right now. I think that's really safe to say. But Justin Fields started to figure out that he had to start running out of the pocket because his pocket kept on collapsing. So that's how he has 1,000 yards on the ground. But if you really look at from last season to this season, he's improved a lot. He improved on the passing yards. He improved a lot on the rushing yards. And his turnovers, although he increased one, it's kind of stayed the same. And also his touchdowns increased by a lot, double. So I think he has a bright future. I think if you're Chicago, you trade down to like a team like the Indianapolis Colts, who are potentially looking at a quarterback because right now they're not sticking with Matt Ryan. I'm sorry. And you can potentially get the 4th pick out of that and many more assets to help your team in the future. Grow around Justin Fields. I think he showed this year that he has a lot of potential with this in the NFL, but most importantly, hopefully with this organization. So let's see what happens. But Peyton said, is Jalen Hurts a future Hall of Famer? Jeez. Jeez. Yeah, I think so. The dude is in what is his 3rd year in the NFL, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3rd or 4th year. 4th year. And he made it to Super Bowl already. There's a lot of quarterbacks that throughout their first 4 years, they don't even touch the Super Bowl. They don't even touch the playoffs. So at this rate that we're going, I think the Eagles could win 1 or 2 Super Bowls. I think they can win it. If they can win one with Nick Foles, they can win one with a lot better quarterback in Jalen Hurts. With that talent, if the team stays the same, they could be back next year for all we know. Anything's possible. I think Jalen Hurts will get a Super Bowl. He could potentially get an MVP. We almost saw it this season, but so yeah, I think he can be a Hall of Famer. I think so. What do you guys think? But anyway, going into big deal, not big deal, guys. Big deal, not a big deal. Like I said, I'm only gonna do like an hour 15, hour 20 of the show because I am by myself. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of annoying just to talk to yourself the whole time. But and also my lips are like so dry. So I apologize for the water breaks in between. But it's like some free ASMR when you hear me sip. But anyway, going to big deal, not big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. And also, thank you guys for tuning into this episode right now. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you followed all the Instagrams and all that podcast stuff down below, or Instagrams and all that stuff. And like this video so the algorithm can do its thing and share the show to everyone that you know. Appreciate you guys. But Peyton said, do you think next season will be a rematch of the Super Bowl? No. I think the Chiefs have a better chance of making the Super Bowl again than the Eagles. But overall, I just don't think. I don't think so. I think there's so much. I was gonna say so much better competition. That's not even a word. There's so much competition that it's like anything's possible. You got the 49ers that could potentially, if they stick with Brock Purdy, they could be good. Like there's so many teams. The Chargers with Justin Herbert, they can be good. Jaguars are coming out of the shadows. They look like a great team. The Jets, if they get Aaron Rodgers, you're seeing another threat. The Giants made the playoffs last season. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, who knows what's going to happen? Brian Dable, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, there's a lot of great teams. The Vikings, anything's possible. I was going to say Cowboys, but I'm like, oh, they're allergic to the playoffs. I forgot. But the Bills, I forgot about the Bills. They're another great team. Bengals, geez, there's so many great teams out there. So it's really hard to have a rematch, but I don't see it. But we'll see. Anything's possible. But going into big deal, not big deal. Shout out to Peyton. But going to big deal, not big deal. My first one, big deal or not a big deal. The Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla gets his contract extension. For so anyone doesn't know, he is in fact the Boston Celtics head coach. They are in fact the best record in the NBA with a record of 42-17. They suspended Ime Udoka in the beginning of the season because of the fact that he had some type of sexual encounter with consensual is a big word, consensual sexual encounter with one of the staff members in the Boston Celtics. So they suspended him for, I think, the season. So Joe Mazzulla came in and he's like, you know what, let me take your job. Let me steal your job. And he took it. And now he's in fact considered the head coach. All Ime Udoka had to do is keep his little in his pants. Like that's literally all he had to do. And he got a little excited to go to his job. I say that's the least, and now he's out of one. It's that simple, guys. If you want to keep your job, just do the right thing. Just do the right thing and focus on your job. But Peyton said Jacksonville lost to Chiefs only by one score. A touchdown in the AFC divisional round. Yeah. And it became down to one of the mistakes by Trevor Lawrence in terms of not reading a cue right or reading a blitz right. And turn to happen like that. So they were still a young team. I wasn't expecting them to beat the Chiefs, but they made up a fight. So they're one of those teams to really watch out for next season. But Joe Mazzulla gets his contract extension. He's no longer an interim head coach, interim, whatever we want to call it, interim head coach. He's now a full-time head coach. Well-deserved. I got to give a round of applause to Joe Mazzulla. He deserves it, bro. He really does. He's been doing good. We talk about how well of a job Ime Udoka did last year with this squad. I think Joe Mazzulla did the same, if not a little bit better. I think that's safe to say. Really safe to say. But I'll go big deal. I'll go big deal on that. And my last one I want to get into. I'm kind of upset about this, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's this dude that I have a jersey of, and I do like him a lot. Mr. Kevin Love. The Cavaliers are gonna buy out Kevin Love. So when anyone doesn't know what buyout means, is basically they're gonna buy out his contract. It's really in the name. They're gonna buy out Kevin Love's, I think it's $15-20 million a year. I don't even know what his contract is, but they're gonna buy it out and let him become a free agent so that he can sign with any other team. So basically, he's off the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a free agent as of next couple days when they fill out the paperwork. But he's not really doing a lot. He's averaging 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. It's not terrible. It's really good, especially for a bench player coming off the bench. It's not the old Kevin Love we used to see back in the old Cleveland Cavaliers days or the Minnesota Timberwolves day when this dude was dropping 20 a game, 25 a game. But he's still someone that add a better veteran piece off the bench and add some depth as well. So I think he can be a really good spot for any team, especially a team that is on the edge of contention, like a Mavericks team that could potentially, I mean, they are contenders, but they're missing, especially how well the other teams are. They can add a veteran piece. He can go to a Milwaukee Bucks team to revamp that team and just stack them up even more, add more depth. They can go to a Boston Celtics team. I mean, at this point, if I'm Kevin Love, I want to go to contenders. I want to win another ring. That's the whole point. You can go to Denver Nuggets team. Probably not. You can probably go to Dallas, like I said. The Suns. There's a lot of contenders that you can go to. A lot of them. But I'm going to go big deal on both of them. It's such a shame that you watch someone all throughout your your time as a fan of them, and you watch them be so good, top of their game, and then all of a sudden they just fall down. And that's what old age does, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happens. But going into this next one, and you guys are really familiar with it, but it is in fact Go to the Week, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we got Go to the Week. Our show is almost ending. I know it's sad. I know it's sad that the show's almost ending, but we got this segment and another one total up next. But we got NFL Go to the Week, playoff Go to the Week. It's the last one. It's the Super Bowl. We're basically doing a top 10 off of who played well in the Super Bowl. And Peyton, I think you're really going to like this list. 6 through 10 are my honorable mentions, but at number 10, I got Colin Sanders, your boy, bro. Can you tell him that I got him at number 10 for you? Can you tell him that on Instagram or something? Because he's at number 10 on my list. He had 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. Came up clutch for them. At number 9, I got Leo Chenal. Also had 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. At number 8, I got Devonta Smith. At number 7, I got Trent McDuffie. He's the one who forced the fumble that got returned by Nick Bolton for a touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 6, I got Isaiah Pacheco. He had 76 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown. He was insane in that game. The much explosive thing that they needed for that squad. Now, going to the top 5. At number 5, I got Nick Bolton, the guy who returned the fumble by Trent Duffy for the touchdown. He also had 9 tackles, I believe, to go along with it. So he had an overall great game. And he got 6 points to add on to that as well. At number 4, I got Travis Kelce. I think he had 6 receptions for 81 yards. I believe that's the right thing. I could just look it up, right? That'd be the logical thing instead of just guessing. Yeah, he had 6 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. Man, I remember that. Nice. He had a tremendous game. At number 3, I got Mr. A.J. Brown. 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. He went off as well. At number 2, I got Patrick Mahomes. Mr. Patrick Mahomes. He also had a tremendous game. He had 182 yards went 21 for 27, 3 touchdowns, and he also rushed for 44 yards on the ground as well. So big deal at number 2. And at number 1, this guy I think was the best player in the field. Everyone was talking about him. Unfortunately, he lost, but his name is I just zoned out. His his name is, in fact, Mr. Jalen Hurts, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, first timer in the playoffs. Congratulations to him. He had no more thinking. I have the stats right here. He went 27 for 38, 304 passing yards, 1 touchdown, but he always his running is really where it stood out. He tied a Super Bowl record. And he also had 15 carries for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, like we said, overall, great job by Jalen Hurts. First timer in the playoffs. Deserved it. Unfortunately, he didn't get the Super Bowl win, but he got to go to the week win. So I think he's very happy about that. But anyway, going into our overall playoffs, we keep track of the stats and how we do that on a spreadsheet and all that stuff with our points. I believe the person I ended off with at number 1 as the best player in the playoffs, it was, in fact, number 1 was Patrick Mahomes. He was the best player in the playoffs. Spectacular. So overall, throughout the 4 games in the playoffs, he was the best player. And also, at number 2 was Jalen Hurts. So those 2 guys, the 2 guys who made it to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the guy who won it is number 1. The guy who lost was number 2. But they both had tremendous Super Bowls. Just a round of applause one more time for their work throughout the playoffs. But that concludes Go to the Week for D&E TakeOver until in the NFL until September. Wow, we got a long way to go, but that's our Go to the Week, guys. It's done for now until September, until we go back to the NFL. But right now, if you haven't tuned in on Monday's show, we have NBA Go to the Weeks all the time. So if you want to hear those, check that show out on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Go check it out. But let's go into, in fact, Podal, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we're all been waiting for. I believe we got the last one in 3 last time, and now I'm going for, in fact, a perfect. Jeez, oh my gosh, there's so much pressure. I'm gonna go for a perfect. I think it was 35 for 35. I could be mistaken. It's either 34 for 34 or 35 for 35. When you're this good, you don't keep track of the numbers, guys. Come on. But if anyone doesn't know what Podal is, it's literally an NBA guessing game where you type in a player's name and they give you this guy. Okay, they give you hints basically to figure out who the guy is until you guess the guy's name. If you don't, you lose. If you do, obviously you win. They have 8 guesses, and we're going to start off with the first one. I think it's safe to go with. Who do we talk about in the NBA? Who do we talk about? Well, it's one guy. I'm going to go with Jokic. I feel like that's safe to say. Jokic. Okay, so he played for Denver, and his age is 27. But he's not on the West. I was going to go Bones Highland, but that's not right. Can we go Morris? All right, see you guys later. It's just too easy, guys. It's too easy. I wish I had the LeBron James one saying, "Oh, that's too easy." Come on, guys, don't mess with me. Monty Morris, bro. Stop it. Oh my gosh, just too easy, guys. Too easy. Literally need some difficult. We gotta do the NFL Podal because Eric said that's really difficult. So we gotta try that one because this is getting really too easy right now, guys. Too easy. But overall, guys, that concludes episode 162 of D&E TakeOver. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Like we said, I appreciate you guys for coming out today. You guys are the best as always. And if you haven't, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Over there, that thing is going down. official_DE, the letters DE_takeover. official_DE_takeover. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts, because this episode that you can see right here gets resubmitted and put onto all those platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Go check those out and subscribe so you don't miss an episode when it comes out. And also, we have some more stuff coming to you guys. So obviously, you want to subscribe to that as well, so you don't miss the next one. I just say that. And also make sure you follow Eric's Instagram is at Eric_Hines16. And make sure you follow my Instagram is David_Rod_02. And make sure you follow this the sponsor of this episode. I almost forgot the word, which is in fact the lovely Elegantly Crafty. Go follow them at Elegantly Crafty on Instagram, and they make delicious sweets and treats. So I know Valentine's Day just happened. I know that one of the things that they made is in fact chocolate covered bacon. So sure, it sounds like a heart attack, but we'll focus on the heart attack after Valentine's Day. Honestly. But overall, go check them out. And also, most importantly, to help grow this podcast and help and like help us out tremendously, make sure you share the show to everyone that you know. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, share the show to everyone that you know. We're trying to get our content out to everybody, and we appreciate the little help from you guys as well. Actually, it's not little, but it's a lot. Big help from you guys. But overall, that concludes episode 162. Without further ado, it's been your boy David, and we're out, guys. Thank you for an episode 162. Peace.